Hey people, welcome to the Run Testers. I'm here with Nick. We are at the start of the London landmarks. You can't see it because it's around the corner. It's very windy today.
They're just, the sign's just blown over, they're putting it back up.
So we're filming this in the shade, trying to stay out the wind. But we're about to go and run the London landmarks half. Nick, what's going to be your approach today?
Today, I'm 2 weeks out from London, so I'm not going all out, is the plan from the coach. The idea is to run a 1:12:30. That actually might be pretty much close to all out today, given the wind. I'm trying to get dragged into any racing. Sometimes it's quite a slow race here, as evidenced by the year I won it. But I don't think I'll be in any kind of race for the win or even top three, probably. So try and stay out of that and run a steady pace at, just slightly quicker than marathon pace.
It's getting sucked in. He'll get sucked in. You wait.
The wind's going to stop me getting sucked in. Anyway, how about you? What are you doing today?
And today I've got Manchester next week, so this one for me, I'm going to run 4 easy. I'm going to do 4 at marathon pace, then I'm going to do 4 easy.
Still more to go, Kieran.
And then I'm going to do the last one. Yeah, I've tried to blank that one out into the headwind. And then I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to try not to get sucked into the race as well. I want to be chasing Nick.
Last mile will be fine. I mean, no, we'll have the headwind on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna, last 3 miles are going to be into the headwind with a little turn with it, so you can really accelerate there and then hit the headwind again. Yeah.
No, it's going to be a fun day out for me. I think just try and enjoy it and not do any damage for the weekend. But
yeah.
And what are you testing?
So the shoe today is the HOKA Cielo X1. I love this shoe. It's probably been one of my favourite launches of the year. I think I've probably got the Alpha Fly and the Meta Speed Sky Paris ahead of it, but I've just done a week away where I've used it for all my sessions. I've loved using it, and I really think it's the top class shoe. It's just a bit heavier than a lot of the ones out there, so I'm going to put this test of a good hard run today that I think will end up not far off all out effort because of the conditions. So yeah, looking forward to testing that. I've been testing the Epix Pro and the Apple Watch Ultra long-term test, basically long-term versus long-term checking of both watches. Good test today of GPS. It's very twisty around the city here. Other than that, nothing really new. I've got the Tag Smith turnover tights on, huge fan of those. Nothing else really new. What about you, Kieran?
I am going to be using the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4. Yeah. I picked it primarily because I think I'm going to be doing some slower miles. I think it will cope with those slower miles better. I'm really interested to see what happens when I actually hit my sort of marathon pace in it as well. And then I know it's going to protect me when I drop back down at the end. Yeah. And then I'll be able to use it for that last mile to chase you down.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And so I'm just interested to see how this goes. I know it's going to be sort of comfortable and cushioned, and it's got the right amount of stability for me later into those. I didn't really want to go for a wobbly sort of narrow platform.
When's your marathon pace? That's probably going to be in the city, isn't it? The twistiest.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. It's a harder time to do it, but you're warmed up at least.
Yeah. We'll see if it. Yeah.
I think it'll be all right because that means you have the wind in your face the whole time because we'll be turning so much.
Yeah.
It'll be all right.
Yeah. I needed to give myself something to shoot at today, but not to feel caged for the whole thing. And it'll be an interesting test of these. And then I'm going to test a set of headphones that we can't reveal right now, but we'll talk about that in a couple of weeks' time. I'm also going to be using the Polar Vantage V3 versus the Grit X Pro X2 Pro. Yeah. And I've got the Garmin 4 and a 965 compared to a H10. So just looking at the heart rate and the battery life and all of those for those watches.
GPS in the city as well, yeah.
And the GPS in the city, and that's it for me.
Wicked. Well, it's always a very fun event, I have to say. Yeah. The main thing we're looking out for today, almost certainly someone dressed as the Shard that you've seen who might get blown into the river. So good luck to them. Don't get blown over, please, and everyone have a lovely day.
Yeah. We'll see you on the other side. Race done, 1:30 something for me. Saucony Endorphin Pro 4 did a really good job in that kind of run where on the easy miles, plenty of cushion, plenty of protection, bit of energy when I picked up the pace. They also did a pretty good job. Cornered well, actually. My takeaway from that of this half marathon, this is definitely going to be the kind of shoe that a lot of people will enjoy running, I think, a half or a full marathon in if they're not really sure what they're going to get, if you're worried how the shoe might cope later on. It's not one of those shoes that really puts you on a knife edge. There's a bit more to it, a bit more protection, and it felt good when I kicked back the pace in those miles. and yeah, overall felt good. So yeah, anyway, I'll do a bit more back when I get my head together, but that is the London Landmarks half done.
So I'm all done, ran a 1:12:16, I think, something like that. The last 3 miles very breezy, so the idea was to try and run 5:30 miles. The wind started getting crazy, a bit wild, so I was running up and down there, because it's hard to pace around there anyway, because it's all little bursts, uphill, downhill, and then hit the kind of home straight, which is about 3.5 miles, mostly into the wind, and just kind of settled in a little bit slower than 5:30 miling, because I didn't want to really push all out. I was really feeling it quite hard at that point already, so I didn't want to keep really kind of killing myself at that stage, because I was into the wind for a long stretch, but ran pretty well down the end there. I think I was third overall, and just hit the target goal time around 1:12:30, feeling really good for the first half of the race, really comfortable, and all felt very good. Shoes were quite interesting today, because they felt very good underfoot, but the laces came under. I've said from the start, I don't like these laces. I don't trust these laces. They've never actually come undone for me on the run before. I've been triple knotting them every single run, triple knotted them today, but the right lace came undone. I stopped and did it up kind of again around the 7.5 mile mark, and after another half mile it came undone again, so I just ran the rest of the race with it undone, because it's okay. It's not like you're actually probably going to stand on it or trip or anything like that. Actually, I remember a tour operator on a walking tour once telling me it's a myth. You never actually stand on your own laces. So I had that in mind, and I was fine, and because of the booty style fit of the shoe, it didn't actually become loose or anything like that, so it was okay to run, especially for the home straight where you're running a nice straight flat line. But the laces are ridiculous on these shoes. Like, I don't understand how you develop such a good shoe and then go, oh, we'll put these laces on. They're terrible. They feel terrible. They don't feel like they're going to stay done up. Like I say, triple knotted, came undone today. Otherwise, they felt very good underfoot. Obviously, that's the big thing about the shoes. They are very big and bouncy. Like, I didn't love the feel of these shoes in that last 3 miles into the wind, because that's where the size and, counts against it a bit, because that's where I'd rather be in a shoe like the Asics Meta Speed Sky Paris, where you've got the high turnover of a lightweight shoe. Just feels a bit easier to keep cycling over and cycling through. These are very good. They boom you along with the wind, certainly, but pushing into the wind on that kind of thing when your legs are really tiring, so you just want a little bit of weight taken off. But a proper look at the watch's GPS when I get home. They both went a bit skew-whiff around the city. Actually, interestingly, the Apple Watch decided I was going really, really fast, running sub 5 minute miles. Garmin thought I was running really, really slow, like kind of 5:50 miles, and I was running pretty much a bang on a 5:30 mile when I took the manual split. So that's interesting. I'm shooting. It's a really tough place to actually do GPS. There's also a tunnel near the end, so that's all a bit tricky. Tracksmith turnover tights, huge fan of. I think they're like the most comfortable half tights out there. They don't necessarily feel as racy as some other ones, because they're not as tight and compressed as some of actually other Tracksmith tights or Saw tights, but they're so comfortable. Storage is really good on them. Like if I was using gels, these are shorts I'd probably use maybe for a marathon, but not sure they've really got space for my drinks system that I use. But all in all, really fun day out. I love this half marathon. It's very fun. The pockets of sport are amazing with all the charities out there. It's really enjoyable. You see a lot of landmarks, there's people dressed up, everyone's very friendly. It's a really good-natured, all-round half marathon, one I definitely recommend if you can get in. It's obviously a balanced system. So obviously if you can run for charity, that's really good. That's the way to do it. But it is a bit twisty and it was a bit breezy today, but it was a good fun day out all round.
So back home then, and I got round the London Landmarks half in a very happy 1:30:36 and stuck largely to plan, with 4 miles at easy intensity, 4 where I let loose a bit, and then the final 5 I went back to easy. Now, a quick word on the race. I love the Landmarks half. It's a very twisty, turny course through London, but you do take in a lot of the great sights of London, St Paul's, lots of all the best bits, really. And I quite like the fact that you kind of switch just as you're getting bored of running in a straight line. The support is great. It's almost like a lower key London Marathon vibe out there. It's maybe not the perfect place to come chasing a PB, but I think it's a fantastic race for everything else, all the other things that you might go and run for. And I absolutely love the finishing miles that take you along the Embankment, past the Houses of Parliament, over Westminster Bridge. There's nothing quite like running that stretch of London with the sun shining on a happy morning, knowing you've got 1 mile to go, and I would highly recommend this race. I think it's just a really fun one to do. Now onto the test gear. Now I can't talk about the headphones I was testing, but stay tuned to the channel for that review that's coming sometime this week. I also can't talk about the GPS and heart rate performance for the Polar V3 versus the Grit X Pro 2, as the final software for the Grit X2 Pro hasn't been released yet. So again, more on that to come. What I can talk about is the Saucony Endorphin Pro that I'm holding here. Now this is my first race in the Pro 4, and I chose them because I thought they'd handle the mixed pace race strategy that I had for today, and that proved to be correct. They were really protective and comfortable with a bit of energy on the earlier, slower miles, where I was running like 7:30s or something. It's the kind of shoe you can cruise in with decent sort of reliable platform to run off, unlike some of the kind of more razor edge carbon shoes that don't really play nice unless you're running with sort of proper intent. This big stack of foam soaks up any road impact. There's no harshness, and the general kind of on-foot comfort from Saucony here I think is top notch. And then when I kicked up a gear to what was actually the half marathon pace for me, so around kind of 6-10 minute miles for the 4 middle miles, they responded really well. There's good spring and energy here, but in a less aggressive, more sort of subtle way, I think, than again some other carbon shoes. So I don't think they're all out as punchy as something like the Asics Metaspeed Sky Paris, which I'm going to run Manchester in. But the upside to that with this shoe is that the Endorphin Pro 4, they've kind of got your back when things aren't necessarily going perfectly. I'd say you get like a smooth, reliable energy rather than out and out electric propulsion from these shoes. But that's not a bad thing if you've got a stable platform. And for me, they're definitely a more accessible and democratic carbon shoe, and one that I think will look after a much wider range of runners, runs, paces, and levels of sort of good to bad form. There's kind of a safety blanket carbon racer thing going on here that might be less lively, but they're definitely less risky overall too. All round for this race, they were ace today, a kind of no-nonsense ride with no complaints from me. These would certainly be a shoe I'd reach for if I was running a marathon where I wasn't necessarily racing all out.
So it's the evening of the race. I want to do another quick wrap up of the stuff I tested today, especially the watches, because I've had a chance now to look at the GPS trace using the DC Rainmaker analyzer. Quite surprised me actually. The Garmin very clearly outperformed the Apple Watch when it comes to the tricky bit around the city and in general. Even going through a tunnel, the Garmin had a pretty good reading, whereas the Apple Watch just kind of jumped out of whack. It surprised me because although I do think the Garmin Epix Pro is a bit better than the Apple Watch in general on GPS, I sometimes find in amongst big cities with big buildings and that kind of thing, the Apple Watch sometimes comes into its own because it uses the accelerometer and Apple mapping data, but today it was all out of whack and it had me going very fast at times. So yeah, a good win for the Garmin Epix Pro today. Both very good GPS watches all round, I'll say that, but yeah, it was a bit more reliable today. Obviously still struggled at times in the city, but could use it more or less for most of the race to help me pace, as I was trying to hold that consistent pace today. HOKA Cielo, like I say, the big problem today was the laces. The shoe felt very good underfoot. In the last few miles, maybe just a tad heavy into the wind compared to some other shoes, but that could just be the weight sticking in my mind a fair bit. It was still very bouncy, just as a shuffly runner like myself, I think the high cadence style means a lighter shoe is generally appreciated at the end of races, but was very good all round. Laces are a problem. I can just replace them on that shoe, though anyone can do that. It's just weird that HOKA left such quite poor laces on the shoe, I think. Traction of turnover tights, I want to mention again, these are really comfortable tights. They are pretty pricey. The storage is really good though. I think if you are looking at a marathon coming up, I think they're one of the top options out there because the storage is well done. If you're using gels, that is, like I say with bottles, they won't all fit in, and they are exceptionally comfortable tights. You can get them with or without a liner, I think, as well, so to suit your preferences. So yeah, they were very good all round. And yeah, Landmarks was another great day out. Really enjoyed myself. Met Eve Muirhead, who's one of my favourite people. Big fan of Eve Muirhead and British curling, and I had a great time watching all of her success during her career. So that was a big thrill to meet her before the race.
So there you have it. That has been our race test at the London Landmarks half. We hope you enjoyed it. If you're interested in running the Landmarks, the ballot opens pretty soon and we'll drop a link into the caption below where you can find out more information about that. If you're interested in any of the shoes we've mentioned here, I'm going to put 2 videos up on the channel right now for you to watch. Go check them out. As ever, thanks for watching and we hope to see you again soon on the run test, and happy running, people.